Welcome to the Lifelinks Podcast, a Latina podcast for the modern cultura. I'm your host, Consuelo Crosby, Peruana, California native, structural engineer, mother, and your amiga for all things Latina. Here we honor the women who navigate multiple cultures, both aquí and allá, and somewhere in between, providing that safe place for you to speak your truth, celebrate la cultura, and find belonging in this comunidad. Join us every Wednesday on your favorite streaming platform to listen to your new amigas as they share their journeys of lessons learned, barriers they overcome, and the joys of living life with pure authenticity. Encuentras your voice and discover the life meant for you. Hola, chicas! Welcome to the Lifelinks Podcast, where we open the mic for Latinas to share their journeys of self-discovery in this modern cultura and celebrate struggles and triumphs together in this comunidad. I'm your host, Consuelo Crosby, here with you every Wednesday from San Francisco, California, and wherever I happen to be in the world. This Thanksgiving week, I'm coming to you from gorgeous wine country of Sonoma County, a place to rest, take account of life as we head towards the end of the year, and sit in gratitude this week for all we've endured and reveled in to bring us to today. So I'm here with my portable mics, sending my energy to you and inviting you to share thoughts on a really important topic. I tell you, the timing of last week's episode with Angelica Vega leading us into this week of gratitude is unbelievable. This week's episode is a Pod Club episode where we pull the gems from last week's full conversation to open the ideas up for all of us. Now, if you missed last week's episode, no worries. This one stands alone, but we'll emphasize Angelica's journey so you get a glimpse of this amazing Colombiana and her truth. Her recording was done spontaneously in Medellin, Colombia, after we had already been conversing for hours. We just decided, this would make a great episode. We had just gotten each other, or as she says, felt the vibe to share our stories. And even so, it was in the middle of the recording, totally unexpectedly, that she shared her intimate and heart-wrenching story of coming out to her mother during the pandemic. It was such a difficult time because she was separated from her safety, from her group of friends that she had already come out to and embraced and supported her and kept her safe. And now she was home alone, isolated from those friends, and only with her family. Angelica was needing that same type of love and care from her own mother. But after finding the courage and opening her soul to her, Angelica instead was faced with rejection, refusal, and a feeling of being replaced. I can't even imagine the emotion she went through. And she shares that pain of being rejected by her own mother. But that is a common thread running through our cultura from generations past. Something stemming from a time of oppression in one's own country, only to be continued in the new country that they fled to in order to gain freedom. The bullying to be silenced in order to not be different or noticed, and instead to blend in at all costs in order to protect the family. But what if that cost is your own soul, your presence, the very depth of your being? Your sexual identity is not an option. is not a choice. It is your soul. It is who you are. It is your truth. Are we allowing our beautiful people to be criminalized, ostracized, and rejected so as to protect our fear? Would we rather maintain a cultura of fear and ignorance in order to blend in and be accepted by a culture that instigated the oppression to begin with? And yet, in our cultura, we all have moments of being othered, of being silenced or shamed for not following the rules that have been passed down through our families for some reason or another. You have heard it on this podcast so many times from our fabulous guests sharing their truth. The motto of so many of our parents, reprimanding us for being our true selves, all in the name of que va a decir la gente. And as Angelica stated emphatically and proudly last week, who gives a fuck? We cannot continue to watch in silence as our own siblings, friends, and people who have yet to be introduced to us are silenced by any means possible for being their true selves. The modern cultura that we have the power to create should be based on love and acceptance and celebration for each one of us. Because if we truly want to live in happiness, stress-free from expectations, then it is up to each one of us to live our true selves out loud and have our individuality celebrated. The diversity in our cultura is our strength. Whether it be diversity in color, sexual identity, ancestral roots, or appearance, our differences add vibrancy to our Latinidad, the entire comunidad that we embrace as our own. Bullying any one individual into submission tears holes in our beautiful tapestry of brilliance, leaves us open to be bullied by others, and begins to again bring us to oppression and submission. So in this week of gratitude, in honor of those that have fallen victim to being silenced, let us act outwardly to be the change in our cultura that listens, learns, and embraces our LGBTQ community. Let us thrive in the joy that was taught by our ancestors to provide for each other and gather in the commonality of humanity rather than the commonality of thought. Your individual authenticity is your superpower. We as a comunidad owe it to each other to strengthen authenticity and create acceptance for anyone being shunned, silenced, or shamed by our cultura. We needn't spend our energy trying to change those who are too rooted in the past, too fearful of others, or too egotistical in self-righteousness. Instead, use your glorious energy to raise others up. Open your platforms to share their truths and support their vision of a joyous life of dreams and goals. It is time. We have the power individually that becomes unstoppable as a comunidad. So may your week of gratitude be blessed, truly blessed. And I offer you all abrazos and cherish our time together, grateful for you and the complexity, the sassiness that you add to this world. Join us on our social media at Lifelinks to share in this valuable, important conversation. I would be so honored to listen to your story and to hear thoughts of how we create a kinder community, how we shift into this modern cultura of love and acceptance. Join us next week when we expand our comunidad with our first bilingual episode celebrating the diversity of our cultura with Jacqueline Martinez Mullen, native Cubana and owner of Jacqueline y su Sabor Cubano, catering and pop-up business celebrating her native foods. Now, on the recording, in order to ensure that Jacqueline was in her most supportive environment for this episode, we spontaneously shifted. So she speaks joyously in Spanish while I continue to converse in English. As she says in the episode, not everything can be translated from our cultura. The beauty of it lies within. She shares how she got started here in the U.S. with only a bag of clothes and has made her dream come true with a beautiful family, children, and a thriving business celebrating her mother's recipes, original Criolla Cuban food with a slice of live Cuban music from her husband's band. We are so lucky to have Jacqueline here in the San Francisco Bay Area. Discover more about Jacqueline ahead of time through her website at jacquelineisusaborcubano.com and look for her cookbook, Mi Vida Color de Rosa y las Recetas de Mamá. And just like the title suggests, Jacqueline brings the joy and enthusiasm that we need so much in our lives and is so present at the heart of our cultura. Please remember to support LifeLinks podcast by following us on your favorite streaming platform and on our website at lifelinks.com. That's LNXX. Follow us and comment on our social media at LifeLinks to keep going in the conversations that you hear every Wednesday. And most importantly, encuentras your voice and step into your truth, ladies. Ciao!
Really appreciate the time you take to rate and review the podcast. Get the backstory and what you've heard here today and reach out on our website at lifelinks.com. That's LNXX, because it's about time, it's about us. Stay in the groove on our social media at LifeLinks and get ready to make your move, ladies.